They'll tell you your body is a traitor. It isn't. It was always going to do this. You just never had to think about it until this morning. Until the morning your own hand won't close around a coffee cup the way it did yesterday, and something quiet goes cold in your chest. The Stoics don't promise you'll win this. They were too honest for that. What they point at is the one thing the illness can't reach, not a cure, a place to stand. Chapter 1. The body was always alone. For most of your life, the body just works. You ask it to climb the stairs and it climbs. You ask it to carry the groceries, to hold the pen, to turn over in your sleep, and it does all of it without a receipt. You never thanked it, because you never noticed it. That is what health is. The freedom to forget you have a body at all. Then one day the machine skips. A knee that won't take the weight. A hand that trembles pouring water. A diagnosis read out in a flat voice in a cold room. And suddenly, the thing you never noticed is the only thing you can think about. The first instinct is betrayal. My own body did this to me, as if it broke a promise, but look closer at the promise. Nobody ever signed it. The body never agreed to last forever. It was always going to age, always going to fail, always going to hand itself back. The Stoics had a colder, kinder word for it: on loan. Everything the world hands you, your health, your strength, your years, the people you love, is lent, not given. You get to use it. You never got to keep it. Epictetus put it plainly: never say of anything, I have lost it. Say instead, I have given it back. Your health has weakened. It has been returned, not stolen. Returned to the place it was always going to go. The body was never yours to keep. It was a loan. Everyone's is. This is not despair. It is the opposite. If you expected the body to last forever, every failure feels like a robbery, and you spend your strength being furious. If you knew from the start it was borrowed, then every good year was a gift you already got to open. The anger softens. What is left is something steadier. The Stoics called health a preferred thing, worth wanting, worth protecting, but not the thing your life is built on. You would rather have it than not, and you can lose it and still have a life worth living. Those two facts sound impossible together until the day you need them both. Chapter 2. The pain and the story you build on it. Here is where the honest part begins. Stoicism does not tell you the pain isn't real. It does not tell you to smile through a failing body and call it peace. The pain is real. The Stoics who wrote about this were sick men, exiled men, men in chronic pain. They were not pretending. What they noticed is that there are two things happening at once, and we usually blur them into one. There is the pain itself, the nerve, the ache, the exhaustion. And then there is the story we build on top of it. This will never end. I am useless now. My life is over. The second thing is not the pain. It is what we add to the pain. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself, sick and tired at the edge of a war, put it like this: take away the story, and you take away the complaint. I have been harmed. Take away the complaint, and the harm itself is gone. The wound stays. The second wound, the one you inflict by narrating your own ruin, that one is optional. It sounds like a trick. It isn't. Anyone who has lain awake at 3 in the morning knows the difference. There is the pain in your back, and there is the voice that says, this is the beginning of the end, and you will only get worse, and everyone will leave. The voice is not information. The voice is fear, wearing the costume of truth. The Stoic discipline is not to silence the pain. You can't. It is to stop signing your name to the second thing, to feel the ache and not immediately narrate the whole tragic future on top of it, to say, "This hurts right now this much," and stop the sentence there. The pain is real. The story you wrap around it is the part you were handed a pen for. They had a practice for the widest fear, too, the view from above. When the body's failure fills your whole sky, you pull the camera back. One person, in one room, on one street, in one city, on a planet spinning through a dark that has held 100 billion lives before yours, each of them meeting exactly this. Not to shrink your pain to nothing, to set it back inside something larger than the ceiling above your bed. It does not make the illness smaller. It makes the panic smaller. And on the long nights, those are two very different things, and the second one is the one you can actually do something about. Chapter 3. What they could not take. There is a fear underneath the fear of pain, and it is quieter and worse, the fear of being useless. A body that could work, provide, move, carry, and now can't. If who you are was built on what your body did, then a failing body feels like the erasure of the self. That is the real terror in the diagnosis. Not just, "I will hurt," but, "I will be nothing." The Stoics take that fear seriously, and then they take it apart. They ask a strange question. When you say you are useless now, useful for what? Useful to whom? And by whose measure did your worth become the same thing as your output? Because here's the thing the culture never tells you. You were never valuable because you were productive. That was a story the world told you because the world wanted your labor. The Stoics measured a person by something the body can't hold and can't drop. How you meet what happens to you. The courage, the honesty, the patience, the kindness you bring to your own hard hours. A man flat on his back in pain who stays gentle with the nurse who doesn't take it out on the people who love him, who faces the long night without lying to himself. That man is doing the hardest work a human being can do. It just doesn't show up on any spreadsheet. It never did. They took the body's work away. They could not reach the part that decides who you are while it happens. Epictetus knew this from the inside. He was born a slave. Somewhere in those years his leg was broken and left to heal wrong. The old accounts say his master did it, and he walked with a limp and pain for the rest of his life. He did not teach freedom as a theory he read in a book. He taught it as a man in a body that hurt, that he did not choose, that he could not fix. And what he said was this: "They can chain my leg, but not my will." Not even a master, not even pain, not even the illness that will one day take me, gets to reach the part of me that decides what all of this means. That part they cannot touch. That part was never up for sale. So the pivot is not from doing to nothing. It is from doing to being. From what your body accomplishes out there, to what your character does in here, in the exact conditions you did not choose. The body's work ends. The other work, the invisible work, is available right up to the last breath. Sometimes it is only available then. Chapter 4. How you stand when you can't stand. None of this is a trick to feel powerful. You will not read Marcus Aurelius and rise from the bed a king of some inner empire. That language is for people who have never actually been sick. The reality is smaller and harder and truer than that. The reality is a decision you make over and over, in the dark, with no audience. The decision to meet the day you were given instead of the one you wanted. To let the pain be pain without letting it become your whole identity. Nobody claps for it. Nobody sees it. You do it anyway, because it is the last free thing, and freedom used in private is still freedom. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and in a failing body it stops being philosophy and becomes survival. Some things are up to you, most are not. The disease is not up to you. The prognosis is not up to you. Whether your hands work tomorrow is not up to you. What is up to you is narrower, and it is enough. How you speak to the people in the room. Whether you meet the fear honestly or drown it. What you choose to give your attention to in the hours you have. Whether you stay decent while the floor disappears. That list does not sound like much. On the hardest days, it is the whole of a life, and it is entirely yours. Not a victory over the body, a place to stand beside it. That is all they ever offered. It turns out to be enough. There is an image the Stoics return to, the person watching their own decline the way you might watch weather, with clear eyes, without pretending it isn't happening, and without being dragged under by it. Not cold, not detached from the people they love, just no longer at war with a fact that was never going to lose. Because a body you are fighting is a body that owns you. Every hour spent in fury at the diagnosis is an hour the diagnosis took twice. The Stoic doesn't surrender. Surrender is giving up your will. The Stoic does something different. Stops spending the will on the one thing it can never change, and spends it on the things it still can. This is the quiet turn Seneca wrote about from his own sickbed, coughing, aging, afraid like anyone. He said the body is the one thing about us that fortune keeps a claim on. Everything real, the mind, the character, the way we meet the end. Fortune never held the deed to. Let it take the part it always owned. Guard the part it never did. So you learn to stand without standing, to hold your ground in a bed, in a chair, in a body that keeps closing doors, not by conquering it, by refusing to let its failure decide who you are while it happens. Chapter 5. What a quiet mind leaves behind. Something strange happens around a person who meets their own decline this way. It steadies everyone near them. The family bracing for panic finds calm instead and doesn't know what to do with it. The room that expected bitterness finds someone still curious, still gentle, still themselves. It is one of the most powerful things a human being can do, and it is done lying down. We think the test of a philosophy is how it performs on a good day, when we are strong and the sun is out and nothing is required. It is the opposite. The good days ask nothing. The final stretch, the pain, the narrowing, the failing frame, that is the exam. Everything before it was study. And the ones who pass it don't pass it by winning. They pass it by staying human all the way to the edge, by not turning cruel from fear, by not lying to the people around them, by keeping in a body that has lost almost everything, the one thing that was theirs from the start. The frame breaks. Whether you break with it was always a separate question. This is why Epictetus mattered enough that we still have his words 2,000 years later. Not because he was strong, because he wasn't, in the way the world counts strength, and it never touched the part of him that was free. A slave with a ruined leg taught emperors how to be free inside their own skin. The body he taught it from had already failed him. That was the whole point. So when the culture around you defines a person by their body, its health, its beauty, its usefulness, its strength, and treats decline as a kind of failure, a kind of shame, you can know something the culture forgot. The real self was never the frame. It was the thing looking out through it. The consciousness that stays right up until it doesn't and answers for how it spent the time. That thing does not decay on the same schedule as the body. Some of the clearest, bravest, most fully human moments a person ever has come at the very end in the worst of it, when the body has almost nothing left to offer, and the mind chooses one last time who it will be. Nobody gets out with the body intact. Not you, not the people you love, not the Stoics who wrote any of this down. Marcus died. Seneca died. Epictetus died, limp and all. That was never the deal, and pretending otherwise only costs you the years you actually have. The deal was quieter than immortality and much better than despair. While the frame goes, and it will go, something in you gets to decide how you meet it. That part was never sick. That part is not sick now. It doesn't need you to be brave every hour. It doesn't need you to never be afraid. It only needs you to remember, on the nights the body is loudest, that you are still the one deciding what it all means. Nobody can take that pen out of your hand. Not the illness. Not the fear. Not anyone. You are not your failing frame. You are the one who gets to answer for how you carry it. If you're standing in a failing body right now, yours or someone you love, none of this was meant to make it smaller than it is. It was meant to remind you where the ground is when the body stops being ground. If someone you know is in the middle of this, send it to them, not to fix it. Nothing fixes it. Just so they know somebody put words to the thing they're carrying and stood next to it without looking away.